Howdy y'all, you got the Bulldog on the channel. We've got an '08 Ford Ranger here and it's a no start. Now this truck's been at a couple of different shops. It spent a few months at one shop waiting on something. He took it to a different shop. It spent more months there. Somebody put a motor in it, I think. Now these things, it's the 4.0 Ford. They were kind of like hen's teeth there for a while, so it might have been why he waited so long. But they did get the motor put in it. He brought it home, and that won't start. I don't know if it ever ran. We're not exactly sure. We don't have the whole story. But he was really worried about the motor being locked up. Number one thing, I got in underneath there with a breaker bar, made sure the motor rotated. It does. It's free. And it turns fairly easily. So even if it was dragging hard, you know, it still should crank. Let me show you what it's doing. Just barely. Now the customer has already done their own thing of trying a new battery in this. It didn't help a bit. He tried the new battery while jumping it with another vehicle. It turned a little bit more, but it didn't help the way it was grinding and dragging hard. So over here it comes. Now, like I said, the first thing I did was check to make sure that the motor wasn't just turning that hard, because that's always a possibility. But it just sounds like it's not good. He was talking about the battery cables looking not great. Let me show you them. Yes, they're not perfectly clean, but they're clean enough. I mean, I've seen much, much worse not have an issue. So the first thing I thought is, all right, they put a motor in it. I wonder if they hooked everything up. Now, I went ahead and I took a pair of jumper cables and hooked. What that does is, just in case they didn't get the ground on there really good on the block, that'll give it a good ground path. And I tried it, it didn't do anything. Didn't help it at all. So our next option is the positive side. Now, I got underneath there and I took a look at the positive cable. It's tight on the starter. The ground cable that hooks up down there is a little iffy, but like I say, I had jumpers on it to make sure that it had a good ground path and it didn't help it. So the next thing is, how much power are we getting down there to the starter? And I've got my tester here. And got it hooked up down there to the cable at the starter. You can't see it, but it's hooked up to the starter right there on the cable itself. And we're gonna hold the starter down and see what the voltage does. Now I got 12 volts at the starter, almost 13 volts. Oops, horn works. Now what that does is it shows us we don't have a significant voltage drop along the battery cable down to the starter. The power is actually getting to the starter. A couple volts drop is fairly normal. It shouldn't drop that much, but I expect that starter's pulling quite a bit. If it was a problem with the motor being locked up or anything like that, it would pull down a lot more, because the starter would be using that voltage trying to crank. It's not using that voltage trying to crank. It's losing it in the starter itself. The way things are is your voltage is your pressure. Think of it like a garden hose. You know, you got your hydrant, that's your battery, and voltage is your water pressure. So if there is a load, a light, a motor, anything like that, that's a restriction in the line. So whenever got your voltage pushing your water through your hose, restriction restricts it down. You have water pressure at the hydrant, but you don't have pressure at the other end of the hose being your battery cable. That means there's something interrupting it along the way. We're testing down there at the starter at the end of the load, and we still have good water pressure down there. So the starter itself is going to be bad. We've got one here. I'm going to throw it on there and see what we do. Starter's kind of a tight fit, but it's not too bad, I don't think. Just 2 bolts, this one here, and the other one there with that cable going up to it, that's the ground. It's supposed to be down here. I don't know why you would put it up on top where you can't get to it, but that's a stud bolt, and that's where the battery cable goes on for the ground. You just take them out and then drop the starter down to get to the bolts on the back side of it. I've already got the battery cable unhooked up there so that we're not, making it look like 2 squirrels in a lightsaber duel down here. I'm not going to show me taking it off because it's a fairly straightforward job. Now, this is not the right way to do this, but it's a way to do this. This connection here did not look good. I'll show you here in a sec, but I figured I'd test the starter once I got it out. You have to take a bolt loose on the front axle and drop the nose of the axle down to get this thing out of the hole. It doesn't just spin up. That's pretty growly. And it stops pretty quick. It doesn't sound great. Let me show you. See that hot side? I was testing against the cable. I'll bet you if I'd have put it on the stud of the starter, it would have a lot of voltage drop across this area. Now, does that mean that we're going to try to clean this up, put it back in? No, it's not. This starter actually costs about what the labor is to put it in, and we don't want to bolt back on a problem because that's why I ran it. It's because I wanted to make sure that it was actually bad. And also, down inside here, I can get it up there close to the screen, but you still can't smell it. It smells bad. So we're going to go ahead and replace this. And I got to get down in there and clean up that cable because it doesn't look good around this. It's not worth taking the risk. Okay, we got it all together. Hook this battery up here. And let's see. Well, that sounds a whole lot better rather than yeah. Now, when I was down there, I went ahead and put a new end on the ground cable. It didn't look too whoopy either. We'll probably clean these connections up here before we let it go. And I also have to address the gigantic exhaust leak on this side here because they used the wrong studs on the manifold and they have it tightened down tight, but the pipe will still pick up and down about 1/8 of an inch. So I got to address that, fix their repair. So, but at least the engine starts and it's not locked up. That's, just part of a quicker diagnostic to, try to isolate where the issue is, whether it's your battery, whether it's your cables, or whether it's your starter. So like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to you later.